is great. Larry David screamed at Alan Dershowitz at a grocery store because he's mad that he's friends with Donald Trump or that he's in the Trump team. Mm-hmm. I saw you with your arm around Mike Pompeo. It's disgusting. Dershowitz goes, he's my former student in Harvard Law. I greet all of my former students that way. I can't greet my former students. David, it's disgusting. Your whole enclave, it's disgusting. You're disgusting. Then Larry walks away. Alan takes off his T-shirt to reveal another T-shirt that says, it's the Constitution, stupid. And then Dershowitz drove off in an old dirty Volvo. I love, by the way, that it wasn't that he's been accused multiple times of rape by underage people. It's that he's like a Republican. That's really, if you want to talk about Hollywood, that's the perfect encapsulation of Hollywood. You know? Mm-hmm. It would be like if Jeffrey Epstein was found out that he was alive and Larry David bumped into him in Martha's Vineyard, he'd be like, I can't believe you were such good friends with Trump. I never knew that. By the way, Dershowitz has been accused by this Virginia Giuffre.
Mm-hmm. Or Guffrey, I don't
Guffrey,
know.
Virginia Guffrey of molesting her, right?
For
multiple
years.
times?
Yeah, 7 times.
7 times?
Between the ages of 16 and 19.
Well, that's too much. Using some of the same language that he had employed to describe Epstein's victims a decade earlier, this is what Dershowitz called this woman. And this is how you know she's telling the truth. He called her a serial liar, a prostitute, and a bad mother. I mean, that sounds a bit personal for someone you didn't rape, Dersh. Can you believe that? Like, if somebody accused you of rape, wouldn't your first question be like, what? Who? How? Huh? But he's like, she's a liar, prostitute, and a bad mother. It's like, well, it sounds like you're protesting a little bit too much. In fact, I think that you know this woman quite well, and you may have done the wrong thing to her. Then he said, who could not be believed, quote, against somebody with an unscathed reputation like me. Does he have an unscathed reputation? I don't know about that. He insisted that Guffrey had, quote, made the whole thing up out of whole cloth in search of, quote, a big payday. When a TV reporter in Miami questioned his characterization of Guffrey, a sex abuse victim, as, quote, a prostitute, Dershowitz replied, she made her own decisions in life. He's basically admitting he fucked her, but he's saying she's a prostitute. Right. Who cares? She made her own decisions, right, even though she was underage. Yeah. So it's just very interesting. Larry David kind of like bumped into him in Martha's Vineyard and was like, hey, I cannot believe that you're a Republican. Forget the friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Forget the multiple accusations of child rape. When two people, when a Hollywood person, and I love Larry's brilliant comedian, but it's just funny. It's like, you know, you are in a little bit of a bubble, unless there's more to this, which we didn't hear, where and maybe that's part of why he's grossed out by Dersh. But like, you know, you're in a little bit of a bubble when you bump into an accused child rapist on Martha's Vineyard, and your biggest problem with them is that they're friends with the Trump team. That seems odd. Larry's a knee-jerk radical, Dershowitz told Page 6. He takes his politics from Hollywood. He doesn't read a lot. He doesn't think a lot. It's typical of what happens now on the Vineyard, says Dersh. People who won't talk to each other if they don't agree on their politics. Well, what about the child rape? I love this. He goes, it's the price of principle. Mm-hmm. This guy is he's been involved in some very nefarious dealings, and he's probably done some horrible things. And what's funny now is that he relishes this. Every time somebody yells at him about being in the Trump circle, it helps him, because what they're not yelling at him about is the credible accusations of child rape that he's also had a large part of. So like every interview he does, he's like, they get mad at me because I believe in the Constitution. It's like, that's not, Alan, you know that's not it. I just watched, by the way, The People vs. O.J. Simpson again, because it's on Netflix. It's great, and he's in that. Not him, but an actor. This is funny. That was a great, go back to that photo. It's the noted lawyer's long controversial career, and it's Jeffrey Epstein, O.J. Simpson.
Mike Tyson.
Is that Limbaugh?
I believe so. Yeah.
Might be Limbaugh. It's Trump. I don't know.
This is a good article.
Alan Dershowitz, the article is Devil's Advocate. I mean, he's an amazing lawyer, right? I mean, we can't take that away from him.
Yeah, sure.
He's a great lawyer. He'll be representing the Taliban soon. The Taliban will have Alan Dershowitz, and he'll go, people are mad because I represented the Taliban. That's why they're angry. He's going to keep doing controversial things to take the heat off the whole Epstein thing. If he was smart right now, he'd be in Afghanistan defending the Taliban so that people, forget that he's been accused. What's funny is that
And Jordan Peterson went into Rogan looking like Huckleberry Finn.
Well,
his pants were looked like he was in a river.
Well, he was in a what was he in? Like a tux with a bow tie
and short pants.
He's like, it's not immediately clear to me why climate is climate. It's not immediately clear to me. He's been through it.
Yeah.
He's been through the ringer.
Been through the ringer.
And he's a brilliant guy. He's a smart guy.
Yep.
But he looks right now like he's in almost his final form, which is a Batman villain. Like he seems to be.
He looks like he just took a break from a catering hall handing out fucking shellfish.
Yeah, he seems like an angry maitre d' at a Long Island Italian restaurant, screaming about climate change. Oh, you don't like your table? I told you it's the only table here. We don't have an innumerable amount of space. That's the problem with people. They think there's an innumerable amount of opportunities to eat. You can eat the eggplant rollatini, and you can eat it anywhere. It's not immediately clear to me if we put you in another table that you'd be having a better thing. The thing about Marxism and the Pareto principle is that eggplant rollatini in any society concentrates in the hands of fewer and fewer people. Well, that's correct, but it's actually so correct that you have no idea how correct it is. So it's an underestimation of the problem. Your table on the corner is an underestimation of the problem. Yeah.
You just walk away and you go like,
Rogan needs a new character. Like Rogan has these guys, but we need someone new. Who's a new professor? We need a new professor.
Yeah.
Because he's great, but he's done it.
Right.
So we need a new.
Yeah, who would it be?
I don't know.
What other professor from some college you never heard about?
It's got to be from a small college that didn't matter to anyone, and they have to be the next guy.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot. The money's better.
Yeah.
The money's better online than it is at,
It's got to be a college, a small college.
Yeah.
And a video's got to go viral of a lesbian beating him with a stick.
Yes.
Just 3 lesbians beating him with a lacrosse stick.
Yeah, or just a bunch of students burning his book.
Yeah, burning his book, and they're pushing his car. If you see a bunch of, and we can organize this, and perhaps it has been.
Yeah.
But you put someone in a car, and then the students are just you see the car going back and forth, and the professor's
Just a bunch of kids with purple hair just pouring milkshakes on him as he screams.
And then he needs to emerge as the next guy.
Yeah.
And it's got to be the name has to be perfect.
Yes.
It's got to be
the university's always Greenfield.
Yeah.
Greenfield College.
Yeah. Greenfield College in Wisconsin. Dr. Eric von Schlossberg. Please welcome Dr. Eric von Schlossberg.
So you're an anthropologist, but let's talk about microbiology.
No, it'll be a guy. It'll be a gym teacher. Can it be a gym teacher? It has to be a guy whose degree is in exercise science. Dr. Eric von Schlossberg from the University of Winnipeg, brutally beaten by 4 field dykes, and is now here to talk about his theory of
antimatter.
Yeah, why Galileo was a hack. Dr. Eric von Schlossberg, gym teacher, University of Winnipeg.
Let's talk black holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they They've really opened up their fields of interest.
Yeah.
They really are.
Well, everybody, it's we always thought about doing a sketch that's funny where it's like a guy who's like has a mentor who's a professor and he sits down with him. He's like, I want to let you know, thank you so much for everything you've done for me. And the professor's like, I'm trying to get on Logan Paul's show. And the guy's like, what do you, he goes like, are you like working on anything? And he goes, yeah, I'm working on getting on Impulsive. Can you get me on Impulsive?
Yeah.
And you go, well, I thought you were kind of like, weren't you working on a theater? What's funny is the migrants are actually the ones that are in the hotels. There was an article, I think it was in the Post, and they're talking about how unhappy they are with the food. They like everything else, but they're basically like, hey, like this one woman goes, we came here, she's a Russian. She goes, we came here to avoid mobilization for the war, said Lila Uzmanov, who fled Russia with her husband. And she goes, we have 3 kids, 16, 10, and 3. We don't want to fight against our own Ukrainians or Russians, same people. She goes, we're grateful to the U.S. government, but complained that the food the city was providing at the swanky hotel turned shelter was less than nutritious. My husband and I have high blood sugar, and the food isn't very good for us. Our kids don't want to eat it. She also added, come here in the evening and you will see a giant pile of wasted food they're throwing out. 90% of the food here isn't eaten. Well, welcome to America. Welcome. This is, you're going to get poisoned. They're going to get, another guy goes, we've been here 3 months. It's only temporary until I can get a work permit and find some work. All I want to do is start working and build a life. He said of the shelter, this is a huge help. It's clean, it's safe, but then he goes on as well to complain about the food. He goes, they're good with the kids, they're very attentive, but he goes, listen, we can't eat the food here. He goes, it's not good. It's not good for our kids. He goes, we don't have a kitchen. The food isn't good for the kids. We would rather make our own food. So everybody, all of these migrants, by the way, these are the most desperate people on the planet at the moment. They have nothing. They have nothing. And their main problem is American cuisine. That's how bad the food is in this country. That's how absolutely terrible the food is in this country. They would rather starve or go hungry than eat the food. And God only knows what we're providing them, by the way. God only knows what they're getting. We're probably giving them Pop-Tarts and fucking chicken nuggets. They are getting what we feed our children. I mean, it's not something that we don't feed our own kids, but they're so horrified, which is, again, it's like, this should wake Americans up. Like, Americans should get woken up by this. They should go, the most desperate people in the world refuse to eat our food. They can't eat the food. They go, this is poison. They go, how is everyone eating this? This is actually poison. And Americans have been so desensitized. And a lot of people have just given up. And when you have a family, you got to feed them. And you got to go to grocery stores. And you got to buy this shit, whatever Tyson fucking churns out or whatever Dole or whatever these companies are doing, you got to buy it. But it's so hilarious to me that people that are here for like 5 minutes eat it and they spit it out. They go, no, this is poison. We can't give this to our children. This is crazy. And, this is like when we dropped those care packages on Afghanistan while we were blowing them up. And we dropped Fun Dip and Pop-Tarts on Afghans. And we were like, go for it. Don't worry about the war. We got you covered. Here we go. And we're just bombing them with Reese's peanut butter cups. And all of those people were just entirely like, what the fuck is it? If you give our food to anyone else, no matter how bad their lot in life is, if you give our food to anyone, they're stunned. They're shocked by it. They can't even believe it. They don't. If you bring people over here, and these people aren't from Europe, it's not like they were living in France. They're not wealthy. These are not people that lived in an Italian villa. These are people that were ran out of their country by a flood or a crazy government, and they're still going, what the fuck are you giving our children to eat? They care more than people that live in this country about the food. They care more. On Sunday, the Post reported that at least 41 migrants have been arrested on charges including domestic violence at the Roosevelt Hotel shelter on East 45th. This is the food. This is what happens with the food. Well, this isn't good. It's not good when people start beating each other up. You just got here. You got to wait a little bit to start hitting your wife. Night of the beating. Details emerge of Riyadh Ritz-Carlton purge. But this is kind of interesting.
It is, yeah.
3 years on, some of the Saudi detainees reveal what they say took place. In early November 2017, nearly 400 of Saudi Arabia's most powerful people, among them princes, tycoons, ministers, and Shakira, were rounded up and detained in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in what became the biggest and most contentious purge in the modern kingdom's history. The arrest shook the foundations of Saudi society in an instant, turning untouchable establishment figures into targets for arrest. Statuses were discarded, assets seized, and business empires upended. A conventional pact between the state and its influential elite was shredded overnight. Now, leading figures caught up in the detentions have revealed details of what they say took place. Many of whom were stripped of fortunes, portray a scene of torture and coercion, and of royal court advisors leading chaotic attempts to understand the investments behind the wealth of the king. Wouldn't it be great? So imagine our version of this. Mm-hmm. And it's just Swedish House Mafia. You're playing their music, and the torturers are going, how is this? We don't understand how you make this much money. We don't get it. Some of it is okay, but most of it I don't know. We don't get it. Because that's what happened here. The Saudi officials are going, how are you doing this? How are you making all this money? Like they could bring Ringo Starr in and just, put him up on the rack and go, you were the least talented Beatle, like by far. I don't understand. George wasn't great either, but the disclosures come on the third anniversary of the purge and ahead of the G20 summit in Riyadh this week, and advocates of the right to women to drive among them. But see, that's what's cool with Saudi Arabia. They know how to balance it. They'll do something like this, and they go, let the women drive. Look, a woman's driving. Wait, you just tortured everybody. She's making a left. Look at her make a left. And everyone goes, she is making a left. So what they did, and we don't need to go into every detail here because you can get it and you can read the article. Okay, hold on. I like this.
Yeah, it's
on
fine.
the first night, everyone was blindfolded and nearly everyone was subjected to what Egyptian intelligence calls the night of the beating. Mm-hmm. I mean, what if Biden just came out and said this? Like he said, in response to the Pandora Papers, we kidnapped Swedish House Mafia, and we subjected to them what we would call, and Biden says it very calmly, goes, we call them the night of the beating. People were asked if they knew why they were here. No one did. They were beaten. Many of them beaten badly. They were tied to walls, stress positions, and went on for hours. And all the doing the torturing were Americans. Good old USA. So the interrogators arrived on the next day. So the first day is the beatings and the torture, and the next day the interrogators. The detainees had by then been separated into rooms in the hotel that a year earlier had been the venue for the launch of Prince Mohammed's ambitious Vision 2030. Here's the thing with MBS. I feel like I like him.
Yeah, he's great.
Well, there's people who have said negative things, but
He's never done anything to me.
I live in Beverly Hills, and I'll say this. I like him. I think he's great. Mm-hmm. And I am not in any way criticizing the Saudi royal family. They have indoor lakes, and they ride jet skis on them. And I don't even care about 9/11. I don't like finance people that much anyway. There is a misconception that they turned up all-knowing with pages of data and information. They didn't. The interrogators knew very little, and they were winging it. They were hopeless on the offshore stuff. So basically, this is what you have two options.
Yeah.
When the Pandora Papers come out. And obviously there's a third option that involves like Congress passing laws, But Katie Porter's ferocious, but you'd have to have a bunch of Katie Porters, Katie Porter can only do so much. She's trying to do her best and make a grilled cheese for everybody. So what you could do is you could lock everybody up in a hotel and beat them and torture them, or you can just kind of do what we've done, which is write real estate blogs about the houses they bought and go, stunning modern chic. It's a stunning modern chic beachfront complex. That was not going on in Riyadh. They were not talking about the stunning modern chic complexes. It was the night of the beating. This These are the choices. You can have Night of the Beating.
Yeah.
Night of the Beating, or real estate blog, Stunning Modern Chic. Many of the king's neighbors were in a tizzy. They didn't know who lived there. Many of those that came, blah, 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 blah. I'll tell you this, man. It's difficult to know what to do. Isn't it? It's hard. Because MBS is sitting there, and Saudi Arabia does horrible things to all kinds of people. But he's sitting there, and he finds out, not to me yet, and he's sitting there, and he finds out that people are, they're taking money. They're stealing. They're doing kind of what's written about in the Pandora Papers.
That's right.
And he goes, we're going to have a little bit of a talk. And we're going to have to lock everybody up in the Ritz. And the party's over. And my thing is, if Katie Porter, if Katie Porter kidnapped Jamie Dimon in a minivan, like in a lunch lady outfit, like dressed like Chris Farley from Lunch Lady Land, if she threw Jamie Dimon in a minivan with a bunch of other CEOs and took them to like the Four Seasons, okay, and just directed their torture, I don't know that you'd get anything out of it, but the pure aesthetic value of that to me is not nothing. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, they mean business. They're not kidding around. There was a terrible shakeup in America. The elites were on the run. Lunch lady and Congresswoman Katie Porter, and I know she's like a lawyer, but she looks like a lunch lady.
She does, yeah.
Lunch lady Katie Porter, in the middle of making sloppy joes, kidnapped Jamie Dimon and a bunch of other CEOs and brought them to the Four Seasons Hotel, where they were mercilessly tortured by interrogators. And she's just sitting there. She's like, where's the money? Mr. Dimon, I feel like we've met before. And he's like, what? And he's like chained to a wall. She's like, we've met before, haven't we? I believe I asked you a question about how people at your bank could make ends meet. I broke down all their monthly expenses. What? And the guy's just hitting them. Yeah, I remember. Well, Mr. Dimon, I have a few more questions for you. Do you have the time? I think you do. He's just chained up in a suite at the Four Seasons Hotel, being brutalized by interrogators. And then Katie Porter is like, all right, so Mr. Dimon, let's start by saying I'm your friend. And I think we both want the best for America. Wouldn't you agree, Jamie? And he's like, please stop this. I'll give you anything you want. Well, I'm glad you said that, because I have a lot of questions about your bank, about your lending practices, about the money that you've paid to get out of serious government inquiries. So I'm glad you're here. And just lashing his gun. And again, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm just saying these seem to be the choices. We live in a world of so few choices. There's not much to do when these things come out. So you either drag all these people to a hotel and beat and torture them, or you just kind of ignore it and you go, bad boy. You're a naughty boy. You're a naughty boy. Are you being a naughty boy in Martha's Vineyard? I bet you are. There's not, you know. My friend's sister went on Facebook, or maybe it was Instagram, whatever social media, and she goes, hey, I just want to let everybody know Beachbody.com is not a pyramid scheme. Okay? There's a lot of misinformation out there. It's not a pyramid. Now, what Beachbody is, for those of you who don't know, is it's like this pyramid scheme, clearly a multi-level marketing scheme like Amway or like anything else, which is based on you converting your dumb friends and selling them shit because they're fat. And you go, oh, a group of friends, we're all going to motivate each other better than celebrities and trainers will. No,
Your group of friends is why you're fat. You don't change with the group of friends. You get rid of them. You get rid of the fatties. No, it's your group of friends is the reason you're fucked. You're gonna try to change 6 people's lives at once? Who the fuck does that? So that's the whole thing about Beachbody. And then you become like a coach or a Beachbody coach, and you put up all these motivational things like, it's 5 a.m. and I want to stay in bed, but I'm not because I'm a Beachbody coach. Now, if you buy the meals and the shakes, you too can be a Beachbody Diamond member. And you just climb up this. But I love the so Beachbody, by the way, of course, had to like address the idea that they were this multi-level marketing thing. Okay. They actually on their website, they're basically like, listen, we're not a pyramid scheme. Wikipedia defines a pyramid scheme as this. Does that sound like what we're doing? And then the difference between what they do and what an actual pyramid scheme is literally nothing. And as you read it, it's like hilarious. Beachbody discusses pyramid schemes and multi-level marketing, right? This is great. You may be asking, is direct selling the same as multi-level marketing? Is it a pyramid scheme? A Ponzi scheme? Is it a scam? How do people make money? And what's the opportunity for me? Lots of great questions, and we'll take one by one. Simply put, according to Wikipedia, direct selling is the marketing and selling of products directly to consumers away from a fixed retail location. So it's the guy that shows up, opens his trunk, and sells you shit. In other words, that's not what it says on Wikipedia. I'm adding that in. This is what they say. They go, so what about pyramid schemes? A pyramid scheme or Ponzi scheme is something completely different and far more harmful, like a scam. That's far more harmful. It's like a scam. Is Beachbody a pyramid scheme? No. Team Beachbody coaches make money from actual sales of genuine fitness and nutrition products and hard work, not from recruiting fees or business fees. Coaches are never paid to recruit people and do not earn money from recruiting. Yeah, they earn money when they sell people the shit. Our mission is to help people live healthier, more fulfilling lives. How do people become coaches? Do they make money by selling Shakology? Our coaches start as customers, right? A la pyramid scheme. Beachbody. Once they start to get results, people tend to notice and ask what they are doing. No one does that, by the way. People go, oh, you look great. You lost weight. Some people go, what are you doing? You go, nobody wants to hear. At that point, people only want to hear like a one-word answer. Low carb, slow carb, keto, paleo, walk around the block. I cut out booze. Nobody wants to hear this. Like, ask me, you look a little thinner. What have you been doing?
You look a little thinner. What have you been doing?
Take a seat. I've been waiting for you to ask me this. I've become a member of a very fulfilling new group that holds each other accountable. Have you heard of Shakology?
I haven't.
Why are you looking at me like that? Sit down and get ready for the secret. I'm about to tell you the secret about Shakology. Some companies have used direct sales model. Where are you going? I just want to talk about Shakology. Do you have your credit card on you? We can get you started right now. They enjoy helping others achieve the results they've achieved using Beachbody products and want to share with others. So they sign up to be coaches. You could sign up to be a coach for $40. Dude, we're doing this. $40, I could sign up to be a coach. Plus $16 a month. Here's Team Beachbody coach Joan Crocker's story. She's been suffering from depression and was gaining weight. Her husband introduced her to Beachbody. She bought Insanity and worked out hard to the complete 60-day program. She said, I found my confidence and happiness again. I felt better physically, mentally, and emotionally. And then I decided I wanted to rob others. Here's Team Jen Richardson's story at Beachbody. She was 2 months postpartum with her second son and searching for teaching jobs where she could put her master's degree to use. But because the country is a bag of shit, she decided to sell people fitness shakes because life is a hell. Like that, if this was honest, that's what it would really. She tried to use her master's degree, but because she couldn't find any work, she decided it was much more fulfilling to start hawking fitness shakes to her friends. That was the much better way to go about earning money. Sure, her passion was for education. She wanted to teach kids how to read. But hey, you know what's a good close second? Teaching your fat friend how to hawk shakes. I would plunge a knife into my own throat before I would sit down and have to look at someone in the face and say the word Shakology. Mm-hmm. If you say the word Shakology with a straight face, you need to be in a cell. Yeah, Shakology. I love it. It's 6 a.m. I was going to sleep in, but that's not what I'm about. I just made a quick shake, and I'm ready to work out, burn some cows. Hey, do you want to look and feel good too? Well, get your credit card out, because you want to, come on in. You're going to be a coach. You start as a fat shit, but you end up a coach. Don't you want to be a coach? Well, I don't have any skills. Shut up. You're going to be a coach. I don't really know anything about nutrition or fitness. It doesn't matter. The people at Shakology have provided us with all the information we'll need. All you have to find is 5 other fat fucks that are desperate, that have postpartum depression. I love who this is being marketed to. They're like, Jeannie's story was great. She was laying on the floor of her trailer thinking about who's this product for? People that have given up all hope. Jeannie was sitting in her car with the engine on in her garage. She was 3 gasps away from meeting Jesus. And then Jeannie went inside, and she saw that her good friend at work had lost 3 pounds by drinking shakes all day. So Jeannie said, God, her friend had posted on Facebook that there was a unique money-making opportunity in the fitness world. Jeannie had always wanted a Beachbody. She never had one. She had, scars. She had stretch marks that looked like spiders crawling up her stomach. But she wanted that Beachbody. So she saw one of her friends on Facebook go, hey, are you laying on the floor of your apartment thinking of reasons not to kill yourself? Maybe you should become a Beachbody coach. You can look good and feel good. I love who this is marketed to. Let's keep going on by the way, I wonder if any of them were like, this person was doing good and they decided to get involved.
Right.
Or is everybody has a gun in their mouth before they decide, which of course you have to lower yourself to this, to lower yourself to hawking fitness shakes to your friends. You have to be ready to kill yourself. Hillary Kelly remembers her early days as a Team Beachbody coach and how she built her business through hard work. I'm not a nutrition expert, but I started with the simple approach of sharing my story both in person and on Facebook. Here's how that should have ended. I'm not a nutrition expert, so I didn't get involved. End of post. I'm not a nutrition expert, so I shut my mouth and went on my merry way. But no, she decided, she goes, I'm not a nutrition expert, but I started with a simple approach of sharing my story both in person and on Facebook. I think people responded to that. I had no agenda except to help people get fit. If you break it down, that's what this business is all about. Yeah. These people talk in fucking like pamphlets, you know?
Right.
I had no agenda. Who said you did, bitch? You seem a little guilty. Doth protest too much. They're like, it's not a pyramid scheme. I had no agenda. I'm not fucking you. I didn't do anything. I didn't go in your purse when you were in the bathroom. What are you saying? What do you mean there was $20 on the wallet when I walked in? You better talk to Shakology. I love all of the fucking examples of people that they use. She was suffering from depression and was gaining weight. Her husband introduced her to Beachbody. Her husband was like, listen, you fat, sad bitch. You better clean it up and you better start bringing in some money into this house. What a nice guy, huh? He introduced her to Beachbody. She's depressed. He didn't introduce her to a doctor. He didn't introduce her to a therapist. He introduced her to a multi-level marketing scam. Honey, you seem depressed. You don't get out of bed all day. Why don't you start hawking fitness plans? Why don't you get your monthly sales numbers up? That's why you feel like shit, because you're laying in bed every day and not selling shakes to your friends. I love it so much. I love it so much, man. I love how everybody using this is completely. Our Team Beachbody Coach Network is over 400,000 strong. God help us. I got to start doing this, man. Now, by the way, I'm going to tell the audience this. If Beachbody contacts me and pays me money, I will sell Shakology and I will delete this episode. I tell you that all the time in full disclosure. I give a fuck about you pigs. I will shove shakes down your throat so fucking fast, you fat slobs. I will put a shake in my ass if Beachbody tells me to, if they want to spend some fucking money. That's what I do. I ridicule these companies and try to get them. I'll become a fitness coach. What, I got to make some motivational Facebook post? I'll do that. Can easily do that. I used to be fat. I used to eat pizza. Not even good pizza, like Papa John's, Domino's. Because I liked the way it felt in my mouth, warm and gooey. Like I was eating my own insides. Anyway, then I went online and saw a friend of mine was marginally less fat. And I asked her, I said, "Hey, fatty, are you less fat?" She said, "Yes." I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Well, I'm part of an online community that provides me the support and the nutrition products I need." And I said, "Well, get me in on the ground floor and let's go and spread the word of Shake."
Broadcasting, this is it. I don't always want to be right, but sometimes I'm right. I said that music in America would be, sooner rather than later, just a large bulbous ass that would shake. Then Lizzo went and famously performed in front of a large shaking ass. This is true. I made a lot of other predictions that were right. I can't think of what they are now, but there was a few of them. There was actually a few of them. There was one that was recent. It was after the Lizzo one where I predicted it and people were like, "Fuck. It's exactly what you said."
Oh, you said eventually the biggest stand-up is going to be someone dancing around on TikTok with just like jingles and jangles, like he's not even saying anything.
Yes.
And that's the biggest stand-up video on TikTok.
Right.
Right?
Well, that was one of them. I said a lot of things. I have a great track record. Okay? And I said last week, I believe, that the only economic activities left will be what I'm doing right now and the double penetration scene from Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
Those are the two options you have to earn money right now. Or Postmates. No matter what happens, forever there will be Postmates. Thank God. Someone with a mask will hand you a Pokeball through a door or a slot, and they will scurry away into the darkness. Mm-hmm. Forever and ever. No matter if the Yellowstone supervolcano goes off and ash blocks out the sun, there will be creatures that adapt in that environment to glow and deliver Postmates. It's just the one constant we have in America, hopefully. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going on. This is something that's very interesting. I watched everybody become a conspiracy theorist over the last 2 years, maybe even more than that. I watched it happen on the right. I watched it happen on the left. I watched normies, people that had never given the Kennedy assassination a second thought, that had never read books like The Franklin Scandal. I watched them go hard into conspiracies. I watched people on the left go hard into intrigue, espionage, trying to figure out the Russiagate issue. I've watched it, and I've watched it be done recklessly, sloppily, as you would imagine people do when their minds melt. It's what happens after you spend an entire lifetime in the mainstream and you're just, eating tomato soup with grilled cheese and you're just out there
trying to go to college or get your kids into college. Where's a fun spot for a vacation? What kind of dog is good with the kids? We have a decent-sized yard. It's nothing crazy. He'll have some space, but, you know, how much activity? Like, you go from that to Epstein overnight. Your mind melts. It's true. You go from that to waking up that your leaders are no good. Worse than you thought. Bad in ways you can barely comprehend. Unimaginable. Overnight, that happens. How can I get mad at you? How can I get mad at these QAnon people, even though many of them are, I believe, to be functionally retarded? And I mean, you know, unfortunate people. How can I get that mad at them when they're forced to adapt to this new world where the conclusions you come to are so blackpilling, so empty, that you are forced to concoct stories in your head about what is really happening. And just like I watched that, I watched people last week become preppers. I watched people become end timers over the last week and a half. People that had nothing but positive things to say are now changing their tune. And I kid around and say that we've been preparing for this type of thing for a long time, but I mean, look, this is the set. We are the broadcasters at the end of the world. I am the anchor man at the end of the world. It's not Ted Koppel. It's me. It's not the guy who went on NBC, could barely make sense anymore. Tom Brokaw, he went on NBC, could barely speak. No, it's me. I'm the anchor man at the end of the world, and it doesn't make me happy. It doesn't please me, but it doesn't shock me either. I'm not surprised by it. I'm not surprised that a corrupt oligarchy of clowns didn't anticipate and or bungled the response to a pandemic. This is what happens when you erect a society run by sociopaths who don't care. They, as Kurt Vonnegut said, they get to where they go. They get to the places, they ascend to those positions of power because they don't care what happens next. They just go, do it, do that, do this, do that, do that. They don't contemplate. They don't sit back. They're not thoughtful, contemplative people. They're doers, not thinkers. So when you're a doer, it all works until it doesn't. You know, Trump is great in boom times. He's, an 80s political cartoon. Money's being made. Things are good. Now, it's a little bleak. He doesn't look great. He looks like he might have a touch of corona. We are recording this Friday. Everything's changing so much by the hour that I want to let you know we're recording this Friday. Because I don't know. I heard New York City was going to be in quarantine by now. That still may happen. We all got that text from somebody. Everybody's got a friend that's highly placed in the government, by the way, during the pandemic. Nobody can get you a fucking parking pass. Nobody can help you at all when it's not a pandemic. Not one human being can do anything for you. They can't get you a reservation at a restaurant. They can't help you at all. But at the end of the world, everybody's got a highly placed source in the government that's delivering terrible news, and they want you to hear it first. And I heard that they were going to quarantine New York City. Seems like it's an eventuality that certain areas are going to get quarantined. Then, BuzzFeed had that thing quoting the NYPD saying that's all fake. It's not going to happen. There's no plans, which is great how they get out of it. They're like, there's no plans at this time. At this time is a great way to say anything, at this time. No plans to shut down roads, which is what a quarantine would be, shutting down the in or out. Whether they get people to stay in their house or they, I mean, after the Boston Marathon bombing, they shut down Boston and told people to stay in their homes, okay, until they caught the terrorists. We're not going to go into that, but that's, Now, we're thinking about, Drudge Report today. Headline, nationwide shutdown being talked about. What does that mean? What does that look like? How do you shut down a country of 350 million people? How do you keep all of those people in their homes? There's a lot of people and a lot of guns. I'm not even saying it might not be necessary. On some level, you have to stop the transmission of this thing. You have to curb the transmission, unless we're all going to be fucked. If you look at Italy, you look at these other countries, we're following the same path they are. Our healthcare infrastructure, by the way, not that much better than Italy. I know that, but we're America. No, we have more people, and many of our systems are as unprepared, or maybe even more unprepared than there are in other parts of the world. So I wouldn't take any false confidence. Don't in the idea that we are a first world country. Well, we are in some respects, in a lot of respects, but we're going to put that to the test. Also, it's also like you have the conspiracy people going, they don't believe in the virus. That doesn't seem helpful. But it is interesting. I do understand, because their minds have been melted over the past couple of years, and you're dealing with candle wax minds, broken brains. I do understand, because the government's like, well, we can't test you. If you feel symptoms, don't go to the hospital. Don't get tested. You start going, is this happening? Is this real? Are we going to go to fucking the hospital and see a bunch of nurses playing cards? What's the deal? What do you mean don't get tested if you have symptoms? What's that mean? We don't have any fucking tests? That's not good.
So as Trump is about to take office, we're on this collision course with China. We're in this kind of not quite a hot war, not even quite a cold war, but the beginnings of a problem with China. It's all over Taiwan. China wants Taiwan. And I told you I don't like it, but I'm going to guarantee that they get it. I'm, for the sake of humanity, Tim Dillon, for the sake of human beings on this earth thriving, I am going to guarantee the policy of the Tim Dillon Show from here on in is a one China policy that believes that the reunification, and I'm telling China, I hope you're watching. Hope you're watching. Love you guys. Love you long time. Not to be racist, but that is fun to say. The policy of the Tim Dillon Show is a one. I'm saying it. Who's saying this? Are they going to say it at the Golden Globes? Is Nicole Kidman saying it? No. They don't have the balls. It's the policy of the Tim Dillon Show. After thought, after deliberation, I like a Z-Pack. I like my antibiotics. They make them in China. We have a one China policy on the Tim Dillon Show. We believe that China and Taiwan, it's an inevitable reunification. And I'm sorry to my Taiwanese fans, of which I have very few or almost none. I don't like it. I don't like it either. But I'm going to have to help this, because we cannot go and have a war with China and end all life on Earth. So I'm just saying, I'm saying to Taiwan, I love you. And I love everything you're about. But because I want peace in this world, it's time. Beijing's claim to Taiwan is its preeminent source of friction with the U.S. Yeah, of course. China regularly flexes military muscle with jet fighters and warships. I know they want it. No one can ever sever the bond of kinship between us. This is President Xi talking to Taiwan. No one can ever sever the bond of kinship between us, and no one can ever stop China's reunification, a trend of the times. Well, the Tim Dillon Show will not be stopping it. Call me a coward and a traitor. Fine, I've been called worse. I'm not stopping it. In fact, I'm getting on board now because I actually think families should be together again and put together.
I do. And you guys, can you hash it out and get it together? I don't like all this fighting. You know, while the Trump administration sold Taiwan more weapons, the Biden administration sold Taiwan better weapons for Taiwan self-defense. I'm saying this. We really need, it's going to be, and China's sanctioning all these guys, General Dynamics, Lockheed, Raytheon, and Boeing's Defense Space and Security Unit. A lot of these guys were already on the no-no list. China already put them on a no-no list. Huawei, whatever, because they hacked the phone. They're on a no-no list over here. TikTok's on the no-no list, except it makes too much money, so we're not going to ban it. What happens is we put the company on the no-no list. You go on the naughty list if you're naughty. If you have a backdoor in your technology that allows for surveillance capability, you go on the no-no list, the naughty list. It's a lot of corporate espionage. That's a lot of what's going on, and that's the fight. The fight is the cell phones. It's the TikTok. It's the apps. It's not just the air and the land and the water. The fight starts on social media with YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. Bay Area homeowners are being asked to help to house homeless residents. In the Bay Area of California, in Northern California, they are having problems with homelessness. And the government now, to their credit, is no longer pretending that they're functional. Remember that story about the children who drive the ambulances?
Oh, yeah.
You brought that to my attention.
Yeah.
They didn't have anyone to drive the ambulances. So I forget where this was, but they just started enlisting the help of, I think, like high school kids to just drive ambulances because they couldn't find anyone else to do it. And again, it was one of those feel-good stories where they're like, take a look at this. We are so proud of our young boys and girls. Yeah, in rural Sackett's Harbor, New York. COVID-19 affected the local volunteer ambulance service. Local high school students took the required training and picked up the slack. Man, me and my friends would be just baking out the ambulance. We'd just be getting so high in that ambulance. Let's watch this. Are doing it because they want to. Pause that for a minute.
In New York State.
So weird. Isn't that a weird model? 35% of ambulance workers in rural America are volunteers. 35% of people that are coming to get you in your moment of need are doing it because they feel like it. I mean, is that a problem? But now we got kids doing it. So in the great spirit of this, because I think this is great. I think it's good. Everyone pitch in. Get in there and do it, right? Get in there and do it. Can you imagine being a young kid? Well, I was a piece of shit. You know, we loved drugs and just being on Long Island, being in an ambulance, being high. Somebody called, oh, fuck, dude, we got to get this woman. Putting the siren on. So in San Jose, California, as the Bay Area continues to struggle under the weight of its homelessness crisis, officials and nonprofits are asking local residents to do more than hand out meals or donate spare change. I like that already. Hey, because no one's doing that either. No one's handing out meals. So I like that they're saying, you got to do more than this. And people are going, who's doing that? Handing out meals? They're asking them to open up their homes. Nearly 30,000 people are unhoused in the 5-county Bay Area, and there isn't nearly enough room in the region's existing affordable housing developments. To fill the gaps, service providers increasingly are recruiting private landlords to take in homeless tenants. Some property owners are renting out entire units in exchange for agreements that the government or a nonprofit will cover the rent. Others are offering up a spare bedroom fund in their home, sometimes in exchange for a small stipend, sometimes as a purely charitable act. Now, how does this work? Because this is a very interesting idea. You have a spare bedroom and you bring in someone that may be addicted to drugs or emotionally unstable. And by the way, it's America, so members of your household already may be addicted to drugs and emotionally unstable. You may be adding another person because that's what a lot of teenagers are right now, right?
You have an emotionally unstable drug addict in the home, and now you're bringing in a buddy. You're bringing in a buddy. It's Harry and the Hendersons. It's like, it's bringing in a fun, you know, it's Down and Out Beverly Hills. Watched a movie with Nick Nolte. It's been fucking brilliant. Yeah. Quote here, recruiting landlords also is a challenge for the Homecoming Project, which houses formerly incarcerated people, a group that's often stigmatized. Using donations, the nonprofit pays hosts in Alameda and Contra Costa counties $30 a day to house someone in his spare bedroom for 6 months. Each former inmate is matched with a case manager to help them find a job and save money for a permanent home. Sex offenders aren't eligible. Now, let's get one thing straight. I am very much for people turning their lives around and not being stigmatized, especially with nonviolent drug charges, right? I don't think people should carry these things for the rest of their life. I don't think it should prevent them from working. And I do think that they need a place to stay. I do, though, think it is quite hilarious that with all the money that the government of California takes in, the only option they have is to go to citizens and go, do you have a room? That's the only option? After the billions of tax dollars that flow into the state of California, the only thing you can do is say, hey, do you guys got any rooms? Zach Stein and his wife volunteered with say, by the way, remember there was a homeless guy, there was a guy in Beverlywood who worked with the homeless, and I'm not dissuading anyone from working with the homeless by just telling you this factual story. There was a guy in Beverlywood who worked with the homeless. A homeless guy followed him home and stabbed him to death.
I think it was Brentwood, maybe. Let me see.
I believe it was in Beverlywood, but it doesn't really matter. People are listening to this from some dungeon in Wisconsin. They don't understand what we're talking about. We're talking about Beverly Hills, piglets. Homeless man arrested for murder at Brentwood and Camp. Well, you were right. Same difference. So
I think that was a different one, but
my point is this. You got to have cojones to work with people that may kill you, right? Zach Stein and his wife volunteered with Safe Time, opening up their spare bedroom in Albany to a struggling young woman for 3 months. In some ways, it was really weird having a stranger there, Stein said. But the experience seemed to make a big difference in the woman's life. This was one of the Andrew Cuomo's mistresses they housed. Stein and his wife recently had a baby and hope to continue hosting once they get settled as parents. Well, that seems insane, but they were able to buy their house because they inherited money, and they want to share that good luck with those less fortunate. Well, that's the beginning of a fun movie. I mean, here's the deal. There's a lot of people that are down on their luck that need help. There's also a lot of people that have real problems with mental illness and drug addiction, and the idea that you would bring them into your house and put your family and children at risk seems insane to anybody. And I know this is one of those ideas that like 10 people write about on Twitter and they make it sound like it's a great idea, but human beings recoil from this. It's like, you know, the reason why the Democrats have lost the narrative on truly everything right now is because the Democrats' issues that have always made sense to people are like the meat and potatoes, like, yeah, people shouldn't go bankrupt when they get in a car accident. People do need health care. People should have a retirement, right? People believe in those things. But when you start getting to this extreme of the left where they go, why don't you, hey, how about you open your house? How about you got a room? Because these are millionaires. Why not put them in Gavin Newsom? How big is that? How big is Gavin Newsom's winery? Can't they all go work on Gavin Newsom's winery?